oxygen in every which form. Exercise, whatever I can do, walk, brisk, swim, you know, any, of course, weightlifting if you can. And in any which way. That's why we do electromagnetic. Electromagnetic treatments actually helps to increase your circulation, which increases your oxygen flow. So imagine pills like algae. We take a lot of algae from freshwater lake. We take seaweeds, of course. All of that has oxygen because it has chlorophyll. Now, chlorophyll travels with oxygen. So, you know, any which form that you can get chlorophyll from algae, seaweed, like the dulse that we eat here grows very, very deep in the ocean. We get ours from the coast of Maine. And when we're in Ireland, they pick up fantastic dulse on the coast of Ireland. And, you know, you have seaweed all over the world. And I have a friend from Korea. She says, you know, in Korea, women go to market in the morning and pick up all kinds of seaweed that they make salads out of in the day. And nobody has osteoporosis there, you know. It's so rich in calcium, so rich in chlorophyll. So don't destroy oxygen. You know, there will come a day when it's okay to have some cooked food, like we move you to 80-20, and that means that we, you know, most of our diet is raw, but we have maybe a bowl of soup a day or a bowl of beans or something. Next Tuesday I'll talk more about that too. But the thing is that now, especially in the beginning, we want to keep it raw. We want to keep the oxygen because it's number one to move that lymph. Now you have lymph glands, so you have your tonsils, which you might not have if you're from Brian's generation. Then they were taken out in America. They were taken out, either you needed them or not. In Sweden, we got to keep ours. So I have mine. Well, so then you're lacking one lymph gland, which was there to have protection from anything hitting your lungs. Now, white blood cells should be stored there and just, you know, no chance, okay? Now we don't have those. Then we have thymus, which is here by the chest bone. And an old doctor told me a long time ago, you should pat this thing every day. Because here is where you store and mature the boss of all your white blood cells. You mature them in all your lymph glands because you make white blood cells in your stem cell. And it takes hormonal directions to get so and so many white blood cells and so many red blood cells out of that stem cell. It's fantastic. Now, then you have your spleen by the last rib on the left side, and you have appendix where the small and large intestine meets. You have 4 lymph glands. Then you have lymph nodes in the neck area, under the arm, in the groin area. And those guys are just little filter stations for toxin. Now, sometimes they swell. We might find a lymph node really swollen or swollen in the neck area. What it's saying is that you are so toxic that infection set in. Yeah, so now though, most of us will be treated with antibiotic because it is an infection. Yeah, that kicks some of that infection up, but it didn't do the whole thing because it was due to toxicity. So now what happens, this toxicity and some infection will have to find a more serious place, and it will eventually. Unless we came to a place like this and we totally detoxified after we took the antibiotic and then rebuilded our system. That would work. But most of the time you're going back to work and, you know, you're just hanging in there and eating all the wrong things and, you know, maybe taking more antibiotic later because it didn't really do the trick. So that's the bottom line. We got to get down to the detox here. Now, so we need certain amount of hemoglobin. That's what the red blood cell carry. Hemoglobin for a female on this altitude, 12 is enough, and for a male, 14 is enough. Yeah. Now, coming from here, where we are just below sea level, and going up to Colorado with that kind of altitude, we need much more oxygen, and it's the hemoglobin that carries the oxygen. So if you look at red blood cell, I haven't seen you all yet, but when you look at under microscope and see your blood, your red blood cell looks like little donuts, and they're floating in the plasma. They are the carrier of the oxygen and the iron, hemoglobin and oxygen and iron. So you have nourishment in there, you have oxygen, and that's been brought to every cell in your body to rebuild your system constantly. So you have trillions of red blood cells compared to millions of white blood cells. I put one here, it's called a neutrophil. So, for example, when they draw blood, you know, when we draw blood here, you put it in a vial, and this much would be red blood cells, this much would be white, and this would be plasma. Just so you have an idea, okay? So it's, even though you see the white blood cell when we look under the microscope, it's very, very small amount compared to what the red blood cells and the plasma. So the plasma is the fluid everything is in. Okay, so how do I get more oxygen when I go up to Colorado? You know, and anybody knows you can't ski the first night you get up to Vail or Aspen or something, because a lot of people get a heart attack. They don't have enough oxygen. It's really dangerous. You have to acclimate to that altitude, then you have enough oxygen and you can go skiing. You know the hyperbaric chambers that we have in the therapy building. Well, no, actually we moved over to the new M&M building. And those hyperbaric chamber looks like a little tent, and you get oxygenated in there. It's fantastic. That's what they have to take with them to Mount Everest, because each level they would have to go into a tent like that and oxygenate their system so they could go to the next. There's no way that you could just, you know, walk up a mountain like that otherwise. So we get enough, and it actually is the pressure on your lungs that sends hormones to your kidneys, that sends their hormones to your bone marrow, make more blood. We need oxygen. You know, it's really important. So that helps big time. Then we get so and so many white blood cells. Normally we have 4.5 through 7.5, and that's international numbers. 4.5 through 7.5, that's a general status. Now, there could be a lot of things going on still. But let's say that it was 4.5 and it drops to 3.5 while you are here. If you have anything from hepatitis C, lupus, HIV, cancer, arthritis, asthma, you name it, it will drop the numbers. So while you're here, it will drop, because if you had that kind of inflammation to work on, it will drop. If it comes above 7.5, unless it's lymphoma, you know, then otherwise you usually have a bug. A lot of people come here and they have a bacteria, and it might be 10 and it drops to 6 by the time you're here, because, you know, we work on that, and you eat garlic. So you get rid of that, and so your body makes more for what needed. Now this is the trick. You have 5 different kinds of white blood cell that work in that total number. So let's say that I had a 6, just to make it easy. Now, when you want to see what they all are doing, you make percentage out of it. So that 6 will now be my 100%. If it was a 12, it would be my 100%. Do you understand? Whatever that WBC, total white blood count, is my 100%. Now I want to see, okay, what's going on? 2 that works together are T and B cell, and they're called lymphocytes. And they get 33% of that 6 normally. T cells, there are many different kinds, and you hear about them every day. Something new is discovered. We knew about the killer cells, T killer, T helper, and they have different function. They're constantly roaming around. They are gorgeous. They're the same size of a red blood cell, and I call them movie star because they're one big diamond. And they roam around and they make sure that everything is cool.